Hi everyone, it's Gene Calderon here, coming to you with another teaching. Just wanted to answer a quick question. I want to do this series of just answering random questions that I do get many times through Facebook or text message. And today I wanted to answer the question, if God is sovereign, do we still have free will, or are we still in control of our own actions, or is God controlling everything? Well, one of the things that we do read about in the Bible is that God is sovereign, and whatever he has planned or whatever he has going according to his will cannot be stopped or cannot be changed. But we do also read that mankind also has a will. And this is shown to us many times in the scriptures when it asks us to make a decision, to choose, to repent for the actions that we've chosen to make beforehand. This is why Jesus says, "Come to me," to be able to make that choice. But it's also the reason why Jesus weeps over Jerusalem, because he says in Matthew chapter 23 that the people refuse to come to him. So again, more choices are going on, and our will is real, and the ability to make choices or decisions is very real. Now, there's going to be plenty that we don't understand about God. He is an infinite being when we are finite. But the Bible does teach that God is sovereign and that he created humanity with the ability to make real and meaningful decisions. A good way to understand it is God's sovereignty actually works with humanity's ability to make real, free choices. God spoke everything into existence by his own power, and therefore God is in complete control of all things. And at the end of his creation, he created man to bear his image. And that responsibility came with being able to make decisions to be for him or against him, to make real decisions, and also to reflect God's glory. God's sovereignty works with the will of mankind. In the scriptures, we constantly see this happening. God works in and through the will of mankind to be able to accomplish God's purposes. And my favorite example of this would be in Genesis chapter 50, where Joseph, who was sold by his brothers to slave owners, he was bought in Egypt. He rose to power in Egypt. His brothers came from Canaan to look for food during a famine, and they realized that their brother Joseph was now in charge. And once their father had passed away, they became afraid of Joseph because they thought he was going to get revenge on them for selling them into slavery. And my favorite quote in that story, that account, is in Genesis 50, verse 20. Joseph realizes what they think, and he says, "Don't be afraid. I'm in the place of God. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Now, the brothers, they acted freely of their own will. God worked through those actions, even though they were wrong, okay? They made their choices to do something right or wrong. They chose wrong, but it didn't stop God's ability to work through his people, through the people who were willing to obey him. So mankind is able to make real decisions, but God is still more than able to exercise his will for his creation, right? God chose to make mankind to make real decisions, to have a real relationship with God. The human and the divine will, they work together. God's will is perfect. Humanity's will has some permissibility. There are some mistakes we're allowed to make. It doesn't please God, but God can still work through that in order to accomplish his divine and sovereign will. And God has revealed enough to us for us to be certain of his sovereignty and still our responsibility. So I hope that helps. I hope that answers that question. But anytime you have more questions, send them to me. I'd be happy to answer them and just equip the believers to understand that God does exist. Jesus really was who he said he was, and the Bible is accurate and true. So thanks for asking. Take care. Bye-bye.